Today in this session, we shall discuss active voice and passive voice. What's the difference between active voice and passive voice? What is active voice and what is passive voice? And what are the differences between these two? First, let us look at these sentences. Ram broke a glass. A glass was broken by Ram. రామ్ గ్లాసును పగలగొట్టాడు. గ్లాస్ రాముడి చేత పగలగొట్టబడింది. భావం ఒకటే కానీ both sentences mean the same thing, but the first sentence conveys that Ram did something. Who is Ram? It is the subject in the sentence. So, in the first sentence, the subject did something. The subject Ram did something. That we come to know when we look at the first sentence. And the second sentence, it conveys meaning that something was done to the subject. Here in this second sentence, the subject is glass, not Ram. Here in this second sentence, the meaning, it conveys, the second sentence conveys that something was done to the subject, that is glass. So, Ram is the subject in the first sentence, glass is the subject in the second sentence. In the first sentence, what is the part played by the glass? It is the object in the sentence, because broke is a verb. It is a transitive verb. Because it is a transitive verb, there is object in the sentence. The object is glass. What did Ram break? Ram broke a glass. And the second sentence, a glass was broken by Ram. Okay? Here, something happened to the glass. Glass was broken by Ram. Okay? So, even though both the sentences convey the same meaning, there is a little bit difference. In the first sentence, the subject is Ram and glass is object. In the second sentence, glass is the subject. And what is the part played by Ram? It is the object of the preposition by Ram. Ram is object of the preposition by. So, in the first sentence, glass is object. It is said to be in active voice. And the object is given importance in the second sentence, and it occupies the place of the subject. And when object is given importance, then the sentence is said to be in passive voice. And when the sentence is in passive voice, some change occurs in the case of the verb. In the first sentence, the verb is broke. In the second sentence, the verb was broken. So, when the object in this active voice becomes a subject in the passive voice and gains importance, the verb in the active voice undergoes a change. The first sentence is said to be in the active voice because here the subject is active and did something. Subject is active. When the subject is active, the sentence is said to be in active voice. And the second sentence is said to be in passive voice because here the subject, glass, did nothing but passively allows something to be done to it. Something has happened to it. It passively allows something to be done to it. That is why it is said to be in passive voice. So, by this we can notice some differences between the active voice and passive voice. In the active voice sentence, the subject is active, whereas in the passive voice, the subject is not active, subject did nothing, but passively allows something to be done to it. So, that is one difference. And verb undergoes difference, undergoes some change, changing a sentence from active to passive. Look at these sentences. The hunter killed a tiger. It is said to be in active voice, because who killed? The hunter killed. What did he kill? A tiger. So, tiger is the object. If the object is given preference and importance and it becomes the subject, the sentence is said to be in passive voice. And what happened to it? It was killed by the hunter. Here we can notice that the object of the verb killed in the sentence in the active voice becomes the subject of the verb in the sentence in the passive voice. Tiger is the object in the sentence in active voice, and it becomes a subject again in passive voice. So, that is one important change we should keep in view. Then we can also notice that the subject of the verb killed in the sentence in the active voice becomes the object of the preposition by in the sentence in active voice. That is only in the case of transitive verb in the sentence we can have passive voice. Now, look at these sentences. I was learning my lessons. My lessons were being learnt by me. I was learning my lessons. I went late to school. In the case of the first sentence, the verb was learning is a transitive verb, and so it can be passivized. I was learning. What was I learning? My lessons. That is the object. So, if the verb is transitive, then there will be object in the sentence, and then it is said that the sentence is in active voice when the subject of the verb is in the position of the subject and object after verb. Then that can be transformed into passive voice by giving importance to lessons, the object. My lessons were being learnt by me. I is the subject in the active voice. It becomes object of the preposition by, and verb was learning undergoes some change. When the sentence in active voice is transformed into passive voice, verb undergoes change, and object and subject in active voice, they interchange their positions. Now, let us look at the second sentence. I went late to the school. In the case of this second sentence, the verb went is an intransitive verb and it has no object in the sentence. పై వాక్యంలో దేన్ని చదువుకున్నాను? లెసన్స్ చదువుకున్నాను. ఇక్కడ రెండవ సెంటెన్స్లో నేను బడికి లేటుగా వెళ్ళాను. దేనిని వెళ్ళాను? దేనిని పోయాను? నేను పోయాను, స్కూల్కి లేటుగా పోయాను. దేనిని పోయాను అంటే దానికి అర్థం ఉండదు. సో ఆ పోవడం, రావడం, పరిగెత్తడం, రన్నింగ్, జంపింగ్, coming, going, all these verbs are intransitive verbs. They won't have object in the sentence. Other verbs like learning, singing, reading, writing, getting, get, give, learn, eat, sing. Likewise, these verbs have objects because they are transitive verbs. In those sentences, there will be definitely the object. But when the verb in the sentence is intransitive, there will be no object. Hence, the sentence cannot be passivized. దానిని passive voice లోకి మార్చలేము. ఎప్పుడు మార్చలేము? వాక్యంలో ఉన్నటువంటి వెర్బ్ సకర్మక క్రియ అయితే, అంటే ట్రాన్సిటివ్ వెర్బ్ అయితే సకర్మక క్రియ, అది ట్రాన్సిటివ్ వెర్బ్. అక్కడ కర్మ ఉంటుంది, అంటే ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఉంటుంది. ఆబ్జెక్టును ఫస్ట్ ప్లేస్తో తీసుకొచ్చి దానిని సబ్జెక్ట్ స్థానంలో పెట్టి దానికి ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ఇస్తే, ఇచ్చి వాక్యాన్ని మనం మార్పు చేస్తే అది ప్యాసివ్ వాయిస్ అంటాం. అదే ఆబ్జెక్ట్ లేకపోతే దేన్ని తీసుకొచ్చి మనం ఇక్కడ ఫస్ట్ ప్లేస్ సబ్జెక్ట్ ప్లేస్లో పెడతాం. అందుచేత ఇంట్రాన్సిటివ్ వెర్బ్స్ వాక్యంలో ఉన్నట్టయితే అక్కడ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఉండదు. ఆబ్జెక్ట్ని తీసుకొచ్చి దాన్ని మనము సబ్జెక్ట్ స్థానంలో కూర్చోబెట్టి ప్యాసివ్ వాయిస్లోకి మార్చలేము. అందుచేత ఇఫ్ ద వెర్బ్ ఇన్ ద active voice, if the verb is a transitive verb, there will be object in the sentence and it can be passivized. But when the sentence, when in the sentence the verb is an intransitive verb, there will be no object in the sentence and therefore it cannot be passivized. Now, let us have the active and passive voice verb forms tense-wise. Verb form, active voice, verb form, present tense form of the verb, and it becomes past participle of the verb preceded by either is or am or arer. Here it is wrong, or arer. Is, am, or. Example, he speaks English. English is spoken by him. He speaks English. This is simple present tense. Siri writes poems. When we transform these sentences from active to passive, what happens? English occupies, English is the object in the first sentence, and in the second sentence, poems, it is plural. Siri writes what poems? He speaks what English? So, these are the transitive verbs, speak and write. Now, we can transform them into passive voice. Object comes to the position of the subject. English now speaks. How does it transform? That becomes a past participle, spoken, and its place is occupied by be form of the verb. Be form. Be ki idar roopalu emti? Is, am, are. So, English is. English is not plural. Therefore, English is. So, in the case of plural subject, poems, it is are. Poems are written. So, be form is are. So, when the subject is singular in the simple present tense, the verb is in the present tense form in active voice, and in the passive voice it becomes a past participle and its place is given to be form, and be the forms of be are is, am, are. So, since English is singular, is. If there is something like she, she is. If there is I am. So, in the case of the first sentence, English is spoken by him. And in the case of second sentence, poems are plural, therefore, plural verb are written. So, that way the changes take place when we transform sentences from active voice to passive voice. And now simple past tense. In the active voice, the verb form is a past tense form of the verb. And in the passive voice, the verb becomes a past participle. Past participle, it becomes changed to past participle of the verb, and it is preceded by was and or were. That is, the be form takes past tense. Be past tense emi was, be was been, am was been, is was been, or were been. Therefore, when we are transforming a sentence from in the simple past tense, a sentence from active voice to passive voice, normally object comes to the place of the subject, and the subject becomes object of the preposition by, and verb spoke becomes was spoken. Spoke, here verb is in past tense. Its place is given to, when its place is given to be form, in place of spoke, it becomes was. Be past tense was ganuka was vastundi. He spoke emo spoken avutundi. So, English was spoken by him. I wrote letters. Here letters is plural. That occupies the place of the subject in passive voice. So, letters were written. Here was or were, because letters is a plural subject, plural verb. That is the concord. That is the agreement between the subject and the verb. If subject is singular, verbs should be singular. If the subject is plural, verb also should be plural. That we know. Therefore, letters were written. I gave you a book annam anukondi. I gave you a book. A book is given to you by me. I gave you. A book was given. A book was given. I gave you books. Books were given to you by me. ఆ విధంగా మనం వెర్బ్ను మార్చాల్సి వస్తుంటుంది. సబ్జెక్ట్ స్థానంలో ఉన్నటువంటి సబ్జెక్ట్నేమో తీసుకెళ్ళి అవతల ప్యాసివ్ వాయిస్లో బై అనే ప్రపోజిషన్ యొక్క ఆబ్జెక్ట్గా పెట్టాలి. అండ్ దెన్ ఇక్కడ ఉన్నటువంటి ఆబ్జెక్టు యాక్టివ్ వాయిస్లో ఉన్నటువంటి ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ప్యాసివ్ వాయిస్లో సబ్జెక్ట్ స్థానంలోకి వస్తుంది. ఇక వెర్బ్ ఎలా మారుతుందో ఇప్పుడు మనం జాగ్రత్తగా గమనించుకోవాలి. నా సింపుల్ పాస్ట్ టెన్స్లో ఎలా మారింది? వెర్బ్ ఏమో యాక్టివ్ వాయిస్లో వెర్బ్ పాస్ట్ టెన్స్లో ఉంటుంది. అది ప్యాసివ్ వాయిస్లోకి వచ్చేటప్పటికి ఆ వెర్బ్ ప్రతి దాంట్లో కూడా ఈవెన్ ఇన్ ది కేస్ ఆఫ్ సింపుల్ ప్రెజెంట్ టెన్స్ కూడా వెర్బ్ ఏమైపోతుంది? పాస్ట్ పార్టిసిపల్ అవుతుంది. స్పీక్, స్పోకన్, రైట్, రిటర్న్ అయింది. దాని స్థానంలో బీ ఫామ్ రావాలి. బీ యొక్క రూపాలు ఈజ్, యామ్, ఆర్ కనుక ఇంగ్లీష్ అనము ఇంగ్లీష్ ఈజ్ స్పోకన్, పోయమ్స్ ఆర్ రిటర్న్ అలా వచ్చింది. పాస్ట్ టెన్స్లోకి వచ్చినప్పుడు ఆ వెర్బ్ స్థానంలో బీ యొక్క రూపం was were. Big past tense was, plural అయితే were. Therefore, English was spoken by him, letters were written by him. Ataga. Next, simple future tense. Here verb form will be will, shall and present tense form of the verb. I shall write a letter. That is the simple, that is in future, simple future tense. She will make cakes. Sheకి will వస్తుంది, సహాయ క్రియ, హెల్పింగ్ verb. I shall write, here helping verb is shall. ఐకి వీకి shall వస్తుంది ఇన్ సింపుల్ ఫ్యూచర్ టెన్స్. ఈ యాక్టివ్ వాయిస్లో ఉన్నటువంటి ఈ వాక్యాలని మనం ప్యాసివ్ వాయిస్లోకి ఎలా మారుస్తామో చూద్దాం. ప్యాసివ్ వాయిస్లో ఏమవుతుంది? ఇక్కడ shall be, will be వస్తుంది. Shall be, will be. Therefore, in this passive voice, ఎందుకని ఆ వెర్బ్ స్థానంలో బి ఎలా వస్తుంది? రైట్ స్థానంలో బి అనే వెర్బ్ వస్తే షల్ బి లేకుంటే విల్ బి అవుతుంది. అండ్ దెన్ పాస్ట్ పార్టిసిపల్ వెర్బ్ ఏమో పాస్ట్ పార్టిసిపల్ అవుతుంది. దేర్ ఫార్ ఏ లెటర్ విల్ బి రిటర్న్ బై మీ, కేక్స్ విల్ బి మేడ్ బై హర్. ఏ లెటర్ థర్డ్ పర్సన్ కనుక ఐకి వీకి షల్ వస్తుంది. ఏ లెటర్కి థర్డ్ పర్సన్ కాబట్టి నేను నువ్వు కాదు, థర్డ్ పర్సన్. A letter, it will be written by me. Cakes will be made by her. Likewise. Therefore, in simple future tense, shall write becomes shall be written or will be written as per the subject in the passive voice. Alage, she will make cakes. A cakes సబ్జెక్ట్ స్థానంలోకి వస్తుంది. కేక్స్ విల్ బి మేడ్ బై హర్. నౌ లెట్ us మూవ్ ఆన్ టు present continuous tense. And in this present continuous tense, am, or, is, ing ఇలా ఉంటాయి. I am writing a letter. A letter is being written by me. I am writing a letter. I am writing a letter. Am writing becomes, am is the form of be. రైటింగ్లో ఉన్నటువంటి రైట్ అనేటువంటి స్థానాన్ని బీకి ఇచ్చినట్లయితే am being ఆ రైట్ ప్రక్కన రిటర్న్ అవుతుంది పాస్ట్ పార్టిసిపల్. దేర్ ఫోర్ ఎ లెటర్ ఈజ్ బీయింగ్ రిటర్న్. ఎ లెటర్ ఈజ్ థర్డ్ పర్సన్. దేర్ ఫోర్ దేర్ విల్ బి ఈజ్, నాట్ యామ్. ఐకి యామ్ వస్తుంది, ఎ లెటర్కు ఈజ్ వస్తుంది. దేర్ ఫోర్ a letter is being written by me. She is making cakes. Is being, అక్కడ మేకింగ్ కాస్త మేక్ స్థానంలో బీ వస్తుంది. మేక్ బికమ్స్ మేడ్. సో షీ కనుక ఈజ్ ఉంది. కేక్స్ ప్లూరల్ వెర్బ్ కనుక ఆర్, ప్లూరల్ సబ్జెక్ట్. కేక్స్, కేక్స్ ఆర్ బీయింగ్ మేడ్ బై హర్. షీ ఈజ్ మేకింగ్ కేక్స్ and cakes are being made by her. Cakes is the cakes are the object in the active voice, and it becomes a subject in the passive voice. By her, she becomes by her. By అనే preposition యొక్క object గా మారిపోతుంది. The objective case of she is her. Therefore, cakes are being made by her. So that is the present continuous form when changed from active voice to passive voice. If the sentence is in present continuous tense, it is how we convert, we change the sentence from active voice to passive voice. Now, past continuous tense. If the sentence is in past continuous tense, how do we change the sentence from active to passive? Again, how is the verb form? Was, were, ing form of the verb. I was writing a letter. So, in the passive voice, was, were, రైట్ స్థానంలో బి, రైట్ అనేటువంటి మెయిన్ వెర్బ్ స్థానంలో ఆ స్థానాన్ని బీకి ఇవ్వాలి. బీకి ఇచ్చినట్టయితే ఏమవుతుంది? వాజ్ బీయింగ్, ఆ రైట్ అనేటువంటి మెయిన్ వెర్బ్ రిటర్న్ పాస్ట్ పార్టిసిపల్ అవుతుంది. Therefore, is being written or being written, అది present continuous. ఇక్కడ was being written or were being written. If the subject is plural. See, I was writing a letter. A letter is singular, therefore a letter was being written by me. అదే letters అయితే letters were being written by me. See, in the second sentence, we have plural object. That plural object becomes plural subject in passive voice. She was making cakes. Cakes comes to the subject place because it is plural. plural verb, helping verb becomes not were. Cakes were being made. Was making, was being made or were being made. Cakes plural కాబట్టి was being made anam. Cakes were being made by her. Likewise, the sentences in past continuous tense are to be converted into passive voice, from active to passive. That way we shall change. Suppose there is another sentence like this. Ramu is carrying a heavy load. Ramu was carrying a heavy load. He was carrying what? A heavy load. So, a heavy load was being carried by Ramu. Ramu was carrying heavy loads, plural. Then loads, heavy loads were being carried by Ramu. The plural object becomes a plural subject in passive voice. Plural object active voice lo unte adi passive voice lo plural subject avutundi kabatti were being past participle of the verb. లేకపోతే was being and past participle of the verb. అది verb ఆ విధంగా మారుతుంది. ఇక సబ్జెక్ట్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్గా మారుతుంది, ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ప్లేస్లోకి వెళ్తుంది, ఆబ్జెక్ట్ సబ్జెక్ట్ ప్లేస్లోకి వెళ్తుంది. ఇది మార్పు మనం అన్నిటికీ చేసేటువంటిదే. Therefore, that is how we change sentence from active to passive in the case of past continuous tense. Now, let us see how a sentence in present perfect tense is transformed into passive voice, from active to passive. Has, have, those are the helping verbs, and the past participle form. I have written a story. That is the sentence, active voice sentence is in present perfect tense. What have I written? A story. Therefore, object is a story. A story, it comes to the place of subject. A story is third person, therefore, has. In place of written, if you put be, it becomes been. Has been written. A story has been written. By whom? By me. I comes to the place of object, object of the preposition by. Therefore, the sentence becomes a story has been written by me. And then second sentence, look at the second sentence. She has made cakes. Cakes have been made by her. She has made cakes. Cakes becomes the subject. Cakes is the object in active voice and it becomes subject in the passive voice. Has made, because it is she, the helping verb is has. Now, cakes it is plural, therefore, have. Cakes have. In place of made, we have to put be verb. Then it becomes be was been. Cakes have been made. Made is the main verb in the active voice. It becomes a past participle in the passive voice. Therefore, cakes have been made by her. Likewise, she has sung songs. She has sung a song. If it is she has sung a song becomes the subject and a song has been sung by her. If it is plural, she has sung songs, then songs have been sung by her. Likewise, we can change sentences which are in present perfect tense from active to passive. Now, sentences in past perfect. In the past perfect tense, in the active voice, the verb form is had and past participle form of the verb. I had written a poem. Then when it is converted into passive voice, the verb becomes had, and in place of the past participle of the verb, be comes. Be becomes been, and the main verb becomes the past participle form. It takes past participle form again. The verb taking past participle form in passive voice is the common characteristic. It's the common thing, whether it is in simple present tense, when or whether the sentence is in simple past tense, or whether the sentence is in simple future, present continuous, past continuous, and present perfect. Whatever the tense it is, the main verb becomes past participle in the passive voice. And in the place of main verb, we have to put be form. That is how the verb gets transformation. Subject, its place is given to object. Object is given importance. So, object in the active voice takes the position of the subject in passive voice, and subject in the active voice goes to the place of object, and it becomes object of the preposition by. See, they had solved the problem. Problem is the object in the active voice. It occupies the place of subject in the passive voice. So, the problem had be form occupies the place of the verb. So, had been solved. The problem had been solved. Who had solved the problem? They becomes here object of the preposition by. It is not that important. ప్రాబ్లం సాల్వ్ అయిందా లేదనేది ముఖ్యం, కానీ ఎవరు సాల్వ్ చేశారనే దానికి ఎవరు అంత ప్రాధాన్యత ఇవ్వరు. దేర్ఫోర్ ద ప్రాబ్లం హ్యాడ్ బీన్ సాల్వ్డ్. బై హూమ్? బై దెమ్. Likewise, we can go for next sentence. Future perfect. In the active voice, verb form will be, because it is future, will and or shall will be the helping verbs, and because it is perfect tense, have also will be there along with will or shall, and then past participle form of the verb. I shall have written a poem. And in the passive voice, will shall have been, be form. Be comes and occupies. After have, it can't be, it will be been. I shall have been. A poem will have been written by me. So, I shall have written a poem becomes a poem will have been written by me. She will have made cakes. Cakes will have been made by her. So, this is in the case of future perfect tense. When the sentence is in future perfect tense, that is how we have to change the sentence from active to passive. Use of active voice and passive voice. When do we use active voice and when do we use passive voice? If we want to talk about the agent or doer, we use the active voice. If we want to talk about the agent or doer, if we give importance to the doer, పని చేసేవాడు, దానికి ప్రాధాన్యత అంటే సబ్జెక్టుకు ప్రాధాన్యత ఇచ్చినట్టయితే, then we use the sentence in active voice. When we want to talk about what happens to something or something, we use someone or something, we use the passive voice. So, passive voice is used when we want to talk about what happens to something or someone, but not the agent. In place of agent, the object in the active voice is given preference. So, when we talk about that object of the sentence in the active voice, then we may have to use the passive form. So, if the agent is not known or unimportant, the passive voice is used. For instance, my purse was stolen. Somebody, ఎవరు దొంగిలించాడు మనకు తెలియదు. పోయింది ఏది? పర్స్. Agent here unknown. My purse was stolen. So, here it is used in, the sentence is used in passive voice. The people, 10 people were killed in the accident. ఆ యాక్సిడెంట్లో 10 మంది చంపబడ్డారు. సో, ఎలా చంపబడ్డారు? ఆ ఏజెంట్ ఎవరు? Subject unimportant here. When the subject or the agent is not known as well as unimportant, we have to use passive voice. And when do we use active voice? We use active voice when the agent is given importance. So, when the agent is given importance, the sentence, we have to use the sentence in active voice. When the agent is unknown or unimportant, we have to use the sentence in passive voice. In spoken English, words like people, somebody, they are used as, when they are used as subjects of sentences, in active voice, they are used as subjects in active voice. But in written English, passive voice is preferred. Somebody introduced me to the SP. SP means Superintendent of Police. Somebody introduced me. అక్కడ యాక్టివ్ వాయిస్లో మనం స్పోకెన్ ఇంగ్లీష్లో అయితే వాటిని ఉపయోగిస్తాం. సంబడి ఇంట్రడ్యూస్డ్ మీ, ఆడెవడో నాకు తెలియదు. సంబడి ఇంట్రడ్యూస్డ్ మీ టు ది ఎస్పీ. కానీ రిటన్ ఇంగ్లీష్లో అయితే యాక్టివ్ వాయిస్లో స్పోకెన్ ఇంగ్లీష్లో ఉన్నటువంటి ఆ సంబడి ఉపయోగించకుండా నన్ను ఐ వాజ్ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్డ్ టు ది ఎస్పీ, ఎవరు ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేశారనేటువంటి దానికి ఇంపార్టెన్స్ లేదు. అలాగే పీపుల్ హ్యాడ్ ఆల్రెడీ రిపోర్టెడ్ ద యాక్సిడెంట్ టు ద పోలీస్. ఎవరు యాక్సిడెంట్ గురించి పోలీస్ వాళ్ళకి చెప్పింది? ఎవరో, దానికి అంత ఇంపార్టెన్స్ లేదు. కానీ యాక్సిడెంట్ని గురించి పోలీస్ వాళ్ళకు తెలియపరచడం అనేటువంటిది ఇంపార్టెంట్. ద యాక్సిడెంట్ హ్యాడ్ ఆల్రెడీ బీన్ రిపోర్టెడ్ టు ద పోలీస్, passive voice. So, that way in written English, passive voice is preferred in such cases where in active voice the subject is somebody or some people or the things of that kind are there. Then in the passive voice only is used in written English. But of course, we may use in spoken English. In speaking, we can use the sentence in active voice, making use of the subject, somebody or some people, like that. But the same thing can't be used as subject in written English. That's why passive form is preferred in the case of written English. Some verbs are always used in the passive form only. She was born in Canada. She was born in Canada. He was born. Born అనేటువంటిది ఎప్పుడు ఆ passive form వాడతాం. Was born. Mohan was sworn in as education minister. They were taken aback by her behavior. So, in such cases, we always use the passive form only. The verbs are used in the passive form only. These verbs are not used in the active form. A clausal object is an active voice. A clausal object in an active voice is not usually made the subject in the passive. Instead, a dummy, it is used in the subject position of the passive sentence. For instance, people believe that earth is round. So, what is the object here? That earth is round is the clause. People believe it. People believe it. What is it? It is that the earth is round. Therefore, it is believed that the earth is round. The earth is round. That the earth is round అనేటువంటి ఆ క్లాజ్ని సబ్జెక్ట్ స్థానంలోకి మనం తీసుకురాలేము. ఏ క్లాజల్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ స్థానంలో ఉన్నటువంటి ఒక క్లాజ్ని యాక్టివ్ సెంటెన్స్లో నుంచి ప్యాసివ్ సెంటెన్స్లోకి మనము తీసుకురాలేము. ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ యూజువలీ మేడ్ ద సబ్జెక్ట్ ఇన్ ద ప్యాసివ్. ఒక క్లాజ్గా ఉన్నటువంటి ఆబ్జెక్ట్ యాక్టివ్ వాయిస్లో ఆబ్జెక్ట్ స్థానంలో ఒక క్లాజ్ ఉంటే, ఇప్పుడు ఆబ్జెక్ట్ స్థానంలో ఏముంది ఇక్కడ? పీపుల్ బిలీవ్. వాట్ డు దే బిలీవ్? దట్ ద అర్త్ ఈజ్ రౌండ్. సో దట్ ద అర్త్ ఈజ్ రౌండ్ అనేటువంటిది ఒక సింగిల్ వర్డ్ కాదు. ఇట్ ఈజ్ ఎ క్లాజ్. ద అర్త్ అనేది సబ్జెక్టు, ఈజ్ అనే మెయిన్ వెర్బు ఉన్నాయి. దేర్ ఫార్ అది ఒక క్లాజ్. ఈ క్లాజ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్గా ఉన్నదానిని ఆ క్లాజ్ని తీసుకుని వచ్చి మళ్ళీ సబ్జెక్ట్ స్థానంలో పెడితే కదా ప్యాసివ్ వాయిస్ అయ్యేది. అలా తీసుకురావడానికి వీల్లేదు. అందుచేత ఇక్కడ ఏం చేస్తాము? ఇట్ ఈజ్ అనే దాన్ని తీసుకొస్తాం. ఇట్, ఆ మొత్తాన్ని ఇట్ అని చెప్పి పీపుల్ బిలీవ్ ఇట్. సో ఇట్ ఈజ్ బిలీవ్డ్ ఏమని? దట్ ద అర్త్ ఈజ్ రౌండ్. It is believed that the earth is round. Now, let us examine these sentences. Active voice. Gopal gave me a present. Gopal gave me a present. What did Gopal give? Gopal ఇచ్చాడు. దేన్ని ఇచ్చాడు? ఒక ప్రెజెంట్ని ఇచ్చాడు. ఎవరికి ఇచ్చాడు? మీ, నాకు ఇచ్చాడు. సో నాకు, ఎవరికి ఇచ్చాడు? నాకు. దేన్ని ఇచ్చాడు? ప్రజెంట్ని ఇచ్చాడు. కనుక ఇలాంటి సెంటెన్సెస్లో వీ కెన్ నోటీస్ దెర్ ఆర్ టూ ఆబ్జెక్ట్స్ ఇన్ ద సెంటెన్స్. ఈ వెర్బ్కి అక్కడ వాక్యంలో రెండు ఆబ్జెక్టులు ఉన్నాయి. ఒకటి మీ, రెండవది ప్రజెంట్. వన్ ఈజ్ డైరెక్ట్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్, ది అదర్ ఈజ్ ఇండైరెక్ట్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్. సో వాట్ డిడ్ గోపాల్ గివ్? ప్రజెంట్, డైరెక్ట్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్. ఎవరికి ఇచ్చాడు? మీ, ఇట్ ఈస్ ఇండైరెక్ట్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్. దేన్నైనా సరే మనం తీసుకుని వచ్చి సబ్జెక్ట్ స్థానంలో పెట్టి రెండు ఆబ్జెక్టులని, ఏ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ అయినా సరే మనం తీసుకొచ్చి మనం ప్యాసివైజ్ చేయొచ్చు. సో ఐ తీసుకొచ్చాం, మీ తీసుకొచ్చామనుకోండి సబ్జెక్ట్ స్థానంలోకి. ఐ వాజ్ గివెన్ ఎ ప్రెజెంట్ బై గోపాల్. ప్రెజెంట్ తీసుకొచ్చామనుకో సబ్జెక్ట్ స్థానంలోకి. ఏ ప్రెజెంట్ వాజ్ గివెన్ టు మీ బై గోపాల్. Likewise, here we can notice that the verb gave has two objects in the sentence. The one is direct object and the other one is indirect object. In such cases, where there are two objects in the sentence in active voice, sentence can be changed into passive in two ways. Either of the objects can be made the subject of the passive verb and the other can be retained as an object. In the example, when present becomes the subject, me is retained in its position there. A present was given to me by Gopal. If me is brought to the place of subject, it becomes I was given a present. A present remains there. It is retained in its place there. And Gopal comes as object of the preposition by. I was given a present by Gopal. So that way we can go for passivization. Either of the objects, any object can be made the subject of the passive verb and the other can be retained as an object in the sentence. In scientific writing, where the subject is not that important, we resort to objective writing using passivization. Since the passive voice has an impersonal effect. See, let us see some examples. A test tube is taken. You take a test tube or I take a test tube అని చెప్పాం. A test tube is taken. The salt is taken into the test tube. Water is added to it. Water is added to the salt. Then the mixture is heated. So, this way if you go on conducting an experiment, all the sentences are used in passive form. In scientific writing, where the subject, the doer is not that important. What happened there, that is important. Therefore, we resort to objective writing, giving importance to the object. Objective writing using passivization. Okay? And when passive form appears more natural than the active form, then also such sentences shall be written only in the passive. Let us see the following examples. It is hoped, it is said. It must be borne in mind. It has been decided. It is generally agreed. These are some of the openings in passive sentences. When passive form appears more natural than the active form, in such cases we use only passive form, and these are the openings of the passive sentences. See the examples in active voice. They say that there are living beings on Mars. They say that there are living beings. What do they say? That there are living beings on Mars. Is it again a clausal object. దీని స్థానంలో ఏం చేస్తాం ఇప్పుడు? It is said that there are living beings on Mars. We hope that they will call off the strike. It is hoped that the strike will be called off. Okay? It is hoped. ఈ ప్యాసివైజేషనే మంచిగా ఉంటుంది. యాక్టివ్ వాయిస్లో చెప్పినటువంటి విధానం కన్నా ప్యాసివ్ వాయిస్లో చెప్తేనే బాగుంటుంది అని అనిపించినప్పుడు దాన్నే వాడతాం. అలా వాడినప్పుడు బిగినింగ్లో ప్యాసివ్ వాయిస్ బిగినింగ్లో ఇలాగా మనం స్టార్ట్ చేస్తాం. ఎట్లా? ఇట్ ఈస్ సెడ్ దాట్, ఇట్ ఈస్ హోప్డ్ దాట్, అండ్ ఇట్ మస్ట్ బి బోర్న్ ఇన్ మైండ్, ఇట్ హ్యాస్ బీన్ డిసైడెడ్, ఇట్ ఈస్ జనరలీ అగ్రీడ్. ఈ విధంగా మనము మార్చుకుంటూ బిగినింగ్లో ఇలాంటి వాటితోటి స్టార్ట్ చేసి ప్యాసివ్ సెంటెన్సెస్ చెప్పుకుంటాం. Conversion of imperative sentences from active to passive. See the active sentence. Prepare yourself for the worst. Prepare yourself for the worst. It starts with verb, so it is in imperative mode. When the sentence starts with verb, the sentence is said to be an imperative sentence. And how this imperative sentence is transformed from active to passive, let us see. Prepare yourself for the worst. దానికి ముందు బీ ఫామ్ చేర్చండి, దాన్ని పాస్ట్ పార్టిసిపల్గా మార్చండి. బీ ప్రిపేర్డ్ ఫర్ ద వర్స్ట్. బీ ప్రిపేర్డ్ ఫర్ ద వర్స్ట్. ఏమవుతుందో, ఏం జరిగినా దానికి సిద్ధంగా ఉండు. బీ ప్రిపేర్డ్ ఈవెన్ ఫర్ ద వర్స్ట్. Advertise the post. Post advertise చేయండి. It is also an imperative sentence because it begins with a verb. Advertise. Advertise అనే వెర్బ్తో స్టార్ట్ అవుతున్న వాక్యం. Advertise the post. It is a kind of advice. Advertise the post. Let the post be advertised. Usage of let. Let the post be advertised. Advise కాస్త advertise కాస్త be advertised అవుతుంది. ద పోస్ట్తో మొదలు పెట్టాం. ద పోస్ట్ బీ అడ్వర్టైజ్డ్, కానీ అక్కడ లెట్ పెట్టాలి. లెట్ ది పోస్ట్ బీ అడ్వర్టైజ్డ్. డిస్పాచ్ ద లెటర్. లెట్ ద లెటర్ బీ డిస్పాచ్డ్. Likewise, imperative sentences can be transformed from active voice to passive voice. Conversion of interrogative sentences from active to passive. Have you done your homework? Have you done your homework? Or have you done the homework? ఏమిటి చేశావు అని అడుగుతున్నారు, హోంవర్క్. చేయవలసింది ఏమిటి, హోంవర్క్. సో దట్ ఈస్ ద ఆబ్జెక్ట్. ఆబ్జెక్ట్ కమ్స్ టు ది ప్లేస్ ఆఫ్ సబ్జెక్ట్. సో వెన్ హోంవర్క్ కమ్స్ టు ది ప్లేస్ ఆఫ్ సబ్జెక్ట్, హోంవర్క్ హ్యాస్ అనేది ముందు పెట్టాలి. హ్యాస్ ద హోంవర్క్ బీన్ డన్, హెల్పింగ్ వర్బ్ ముందు పెట్టాలి, అప్పుడు క్వశ్చన్ అవుతుంది. సో హ్యావ్ యూ డన్ యువర్ హోంవర్క్ ఆర్ హ్యావ్ యూ డన్ ద హోంవర్క్, ద హోంవర్క్ అనేది ముందుకు రావాలి కాబట్టి హ్యాస్ బీన్ డన్. ఆ హ్యాస్ సహాయ క్రియను ముందు పెడితే ప్రశ్న అవుతుంది. హ్యాస్ లోపల పెడితే హ్యాస్ బీన్ డన్ అనేది మామూలు వాక్యం, సాధారణ వాక్యం, అసర్టివ్ సెంటెన్స్, నాట్ ఇంటరాగేటివ్. సో హెల్పింగ్ వెర్బ్ను సబ్జెక్టుకు ముందు పెట్టాలి. అలా పెట్టినట్టయితే హ్యాస్ ద హోంవర్క్ బీన్ డన్. లైక్ వైజ్, వై డిడ్ ద టీచర్ పనిష్ యూ? పనిష్ చేసింది ఎవరిని, నిన్ను. యూ అనేటువంటిది రావాలి ముందుకి. ఆబ్జెక్ట్ యూ, యాక్టివ్ వాయిస్లో ఉన్నటువంటి యూ అనేటువంటి ఆబ్జెక్ట్ మొదటి స్థానంలో రావాలి, సబ్జెక్ట్ స్థానంలోకి రావాలి. యూ అనేటువంటి వచ్చినప్పుడు పాస్ట్ టెన్స్లో యూ వర్ పనిష్డ్, వర్ ముందు పెట్టో, వర్ యూ పనిష్డ్. వై వర్ యూ పనిష్డ్ బై ద టీచర్? ఈ టీచర్ కాస్త మళ్ళీ అటుకు వెళ్తుంది, ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఆఫ్ ది ప్రపోజిషన్ బై. దేర్ ఫార్ why did the teacher punish you? Why were you punished by the teacher? Who sent the letter? By whom was this letter sent to you? By whom was this letter sent? Who sent you this letter ante by whom was this letter sent to you? అలాగే ఇక్కడ యూ లేదు, లేకుండానే చెప్పవచ్చు. Therefore, this way we can think about ways and means of transforming sentences from active to passive. Wish you all the best.